Hey guys, if you like my videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it, thanks. And also let me know where y'all are watching from and at what time. I'm curious. They say desperation makes you do dumb things. In my case, it got me a night shift at a gas station, 2 hours outside of nowhere, halfway to hell, smack in the middle of the Nevada desert. No town signs, no nearby highway. Just a two-pump shack squatting on the sand like a toad that forgot how to die. The sign just read gas in cracked neon, and even that only lit up the A and part of the S, which felt appropriate. The hiring process, non-existent. I clicked an ad that read, "Night clerk needed, immediate start, lodging provided." And an hour later a burner phone I didn't recognize rang. "You start tonight," the voice rasped. "Come alone. Follow the buzzards." That should have been my cue to politely decline and yeet my phone into the Mojave. But I'd just been evicted. My car smelled like old burritos and betrayal, and I hadn't eaten a hot meal in 3 days. So yeah, dumb things, desperate times. My first shift started at dusk. The desert sun dipped behind the Red Rock Hills, casting a long shadow over the station like someone had dropped a curtain. I pulled up, parked next to a cracked skeleton of a gas pump, and tried to convince myself it wasn't giving off heat. Inside it smelled like dust, beef jerky, and something faintly metallic, like an old penny had married a rat and the marriage ended poorly. There was no one behind the counter, no training. Just a brittle little binder duct taped to the cash register with rules scribbled across it in red marker, and something that might have been dried blood. I hadn't even cracked it open when I saw movement through the front window. A man, no car, just walking across the desert like he was out for a midnight jog, in a 3-piece suit. His eyes glowed faint yellow like old headlights in fog, and, this is where it gets real weird, no shadow. The fluorescent lights above him flickered, but his boots never cast a thing on the ground. He walked straight up to the pump and stared at me through the window. No knocking, no waving, just staring. I looked down at the register. The binder sat there like it was judging me already. I flipped the cover. First rule in bold letters, 1, never sell gas to anyone who doesn't cast a shadow. I looked back at him, still there, still staring. Now I'm not a brave man? I once screamed because a squirrel ran across my foot, but something in my gut told me if I opened that door I wouldn't be closing it again, ever. So I did the rational thing. I locked the door and pretended I didn't see him. He didn't blink, didn't move. After about 20 seconds of me pretending to dust imaginary crumbs off the counter, he smiled, and it looked all wrong. Too many teeth, too symmetrical, like a Halloween mask drawn by someone who'd only heard of humans in theory. Then the air changed. You ever feel a sandstorm before it hits? Like the wind sucks all the oxygen out of the world? That's what happened. The windows rattled. A roar built up from nothing, like something was tearing its way out of the sand. Then, poof, he vanished. No footsteps, no retreating figure, just gone. That's when the lights went out. The register beeped like it was choking on ghosts, and the payphone behind me started ringing. It was 3:02 a.m. Now, I don't know what kind of person answers a payphone in the middle of a blackout at a gas station where shadowless people show up and disappear into sandstorms. But apparently, I am that kind of person, because I picked it up. "Hello," I said in the kind of voice you use when you're trying to sound brave for the ghosts. Nothing, just a faint static hum like someone rubbing sandpaper across a microphone. Then a click. Line went dead. The lights flickered back on. Register beeped twice and rebooted like nothing happened. Outside, the wind died just as fast as it came, and the desert was still again. I backed away from the phone and finally turned to that crusty binder on the counter. If I was going to survive this job, I figured it was time to get educated. The cover was cracked plastic, yellow with age, and something sticky on the corners. Inside, the first page had big block letters that said, "Read these rules if you want to keep your skin. Charming." Underneath that were the actual rules, typed on a typewriter, not printed, not handwritten. Typed, like some government agent from 1972 was really proud of his formatting. 1. Never sell gas to anyone who doesn't cast a shadow. 2. Don't answer the payphone after 3 a.m. 3. If the old man in a green truck pulls up, hand him the box under the counter, but don't look inside. 4. Keep the neon open sign off during full moons. 5. When the static hits the radio, hide in the freezer and don't breathe. That was it. No further instructions, no explanations, no friendly welcome to the team note. I checked under the counter. Sure enough, there was a duct-taped cardboard box sitting next to a crusty bottle of Pepto and what looked like a petrified Slim Jim. The box didn't have a label. It pulsed slightly, like something alive was inside and dreaming about being somewhere else. I decided not to poke it. It was about then that I heard a voice from behind me, low and crackly. "You read the rules?" I turned so fast I nearly knocked over the slushy machine. Standing in the doorway to the back room was a man who looked like he'd been dug out of an old couch. Greasy apron, skin the color of drywall paste, and one eye that twitched like it was having Morse code seizures. "You the manager?" I asked. He snorted. "Sure. Or the last guy dumb enough to stay more than 2 shifts. Depends how you define manager." He walked over, checked the register, then casually spit in the trash like he was marking territory. "Name's Lenny. Been here a long time." "How long's long?" I asked. He stared off into the distance like he was watching a black and white movie in his own brain. "Since the phone stopped ringing for normal folks. Since the pump started humming to things that ain't got tongues." That wasn't an answer, but I didn't press it. He jabbed a thumb at the binder. "You follow those rules, you'll make it. Break one and you'll wish you'd gotten eaten by something polite." He started walking toward the back, muttering something about resetting the salt lines, whatever that meant. "Oh," he added, pausing in the doorway, "if the vending machine ever asks you for help, just don't." Then he vanished into the stockroom. Left alone, I leaned on the counter and looked at the binder again. The weirdest part? I wasn't thinking of quitting. I was thinking, what happens if I break Rule 3? Curiosity might not have killed the cat, but I was starting to think it worked night shifts at gas stations. You ever have one of those moments where your brain tells you to move, but your body decides it's on strike? That was me 2 nights later when I saw her walking across the pumps. She looked like she'd been ripped out of a stock photo catalog. Long brown hair, flowy dress, holding a small child. Classic lost mother aesthetic. Except the kid's head lolled too far to the side. And their shadows? Yeah, still missing. My instincts kicked in. I killed the outside lights, locked the door, and ducked behind the counter. The woman pressed her face to the glass, her forehead flattening unnaturally like clay. She didn't knock, she just cried. "I need help," she whimpered. "Please, he's sick. We're lost. You have to let us in." Now listen, I may work minimum wage, but I was raised right. Help people in need. Don't talk during movies. Don't feed gremlins after midnight. But something about her didn't sit right. Her voice had no emotion. It was like someone had typed it into a phone and hit play. I peeked up. The boy in her arms opened his eyes. They glowed green. Glowed. Like night vision goggles. Nope. Absolutely not. I grabbed the rulebook and flipped to the first page again just to be sure. Rule 1. Never sell gas to anyone who doesn't cast a shadow. Nothing about helping shadowless moms. But if I had to guess, gas wasn't their priority. "I can't help you," I said through the locked door. "Try the next cursed gas station down the road." The woman's face dropped, not emotionally, literally. Her entire face sagged down her neck like it had melted, revealing a pale, pulsing layer of veiny black tissue underneath. Her mouth stretched open way too wide, and her sobs became this static hiss screech that made my fillings ache. And the kid? Yeah, he started clicking, like some kind of insect, like an old hard drive trying to boot up in a blender. They backed away, just slightly, and then both of them phased. I swear to you, they shimmered like mirages, then snapped back into place 10 feet closer. I backed toward the hallway, heart pounding, muttering to myself, "Nope, nope, I didn't sign up for mother-son shadow demons. I just wanted a paycheck and free gas." Another shimmer, closer. This time the kid opened his mouth and it unhinged like a snake. Inside was not a human throat. It looked more like a blender full of teeth and bad decisions. My brain stopped processing. I hit the panic button under the counter. The lights turned red. Alarms didn't blare, but a low, droning hum filled the building like a tuning fork inside my skull. The floor vibrated. The vending machine lit up every row at once. The woman hissed. Her face jerked back into place like a rubber mask snapping onto a mannequin. They both turned, and then just... poof, gone. Not faded, not ran, gone. Lenny appeared behind me a few minutes later like he'd been watching the whole thing on TV. "You used the panic hum," he said, scratching his ear with a pen. "What were they?" I asked. He just grunted. "Shadow thieves. Like to wear people faces. If they ever get in, don't hide. Just lie real still and try not to taste anything." I blinked. Taste? But he was already gone. Later that night, around 3:12 a.m., the payphone rang again. This time, it didn't even wait for me to pick up before it stopped. Instead, it whispered my name from the receiver, twice. There's a very specific kind of terror that comes from hearing your name when nobody's supposed to know it. When the payphone whispered mine, twice, I didn't pick it up. I just stared at it, like it might apologize and crawl back into the wall. It didn't. It rang again, louder this time, like it was mad I hadn't answered. I glanced at the rules. 2, don't answer the payphone after 3 a.m. It was 3:06. My heart did this little jig in my chest, the kind it only does when your brain says, "Let's run," and your legs go, "Sure, but let's also cry a little." Still, something about the ringing pulled at me, like it wasn't just a sound, but a presence, like the phone itself was leaning closer, waiting, and then it stopped. Silence. Relieved, I turned back to the counter, just in time to see the vending machine's lights start blinking in rhythm, left to right, top to bottom, almost like it was spelling something out. I backed away. "Nope, not today, not you." And then the radio popped on. It was tuned to some oldies station, but instead of music, all I heard was static. Not regular white noise. This was sharp, stinging, like someone grinding glass in my ears. A voice emerged through the static, warbling and inhuman. It wasn't speaking English, or Spanish, or Klingon for that matter. The sound clawed its way through the speakers, tearing at the inside of my skull. My ears began to ring, then burn. I touched one and pulled my hand back, slick with blood. That's when my brain screamed one word loud and clear: freezer, Rule 5. When the static hits the radio, hide in the freezer and don't breathe. I sprinted to the walk-in freezer, slipped on a crate of what I think was haunted bacon, and slammed the door behind me. The hum of the radio was muffled, but still present, like it was seeping in through the cracks. The air was frigid. My breath came out in quick clouds. I crouched behind a stack of frozen churros and held my breath. The noise outside swelled, and then it stopped. Everything stopped. The hum, the flickering lights. Silence, thick and sudden. I exhaled slowly, cautiously, and something cold brushed past my cheek. Inside the freezer, I froze, pun not intended, eyes wide, lungs aching. Another whisper inches from my ear, a voice that sounded like me if I were made of static and regret. "Breathe again and see what happens." I clenched my jaw so hard I think one of my molars cracked. I didn't breathe. Not for 10 seconds, not for 20. My vision blurred. My fingers twitched. Then, as suddenly as it had come, the cold receded. The door creaked open on its own. Lights were back. Radio was off. I stumbled out, wheezing, half frozen, half dead, all paranoid. And there, waiting on the counter, was a note, not typed, not written in pen, carved into the laminate. "That was your warning. Next time you won't have time to hide." I spent the rest of that night holding a slushy cup filled with holy water, or tap water, close enough, staring at the vending machine like it might ask me to prom. Lenny didn't show up at all, figures, probably off renewing his Salt Circle subscription. By sunrise, I decided 2 things. 1, I needed a raise. 2, I wasn't leaving, because now I had to know what was in the box under the counter. You ever have one of those itches you're not supposed to scratch? That's what that box under the counter had become. It didn't make noise, didn't move, didn't even smell, which somehow made it worse. Just sat there, taped shut, waiting like a wrapped Christmas present from Satan. According to the rule book, 3, if the old man in a green truck pulls up, hand him the box under the counter, but don't look inside. I didn't even know what kind of green. Olive, forest, military. What if the guy showed up in turquoise and I handed over the box to the wrong dude? That's what kept me up the next night. That and the vending machine blinking help in Morse code again. Nope, still ignoring it. Not falling for your snack-based lies, demon. Around 2:30 a.m. I heard the crunch of gravel. Headlights rolled up the long driveway. Not white, green, sickly green, like algae mixed with rust. The truck looked like it had been welded together from parts of older, angrier trucks. Its front bumper had teeth, not painted ones, real ones, mounted like trophies. The driver's door creaked open. A man stepped out. Emphasis on man only because there wasn't a better word. He was tall, gaunt, with skin the color of candle wax and eyes like rusted nails. He wore a trucker cap that read "World's Best Grandpa," which honestly just made it worse. He walked straight toward the door, slow and silent, then tapped the glass once with a gloved fingertip. Didn't speak, didn't smile, just waited. I stared at the box. It was vibrating, not shaking, vibrating like it was purring or growling. I reached down and grabbed it. It felt heavier than it should have, like it was full of lead and regret. As I lifted it, something thumped against the inside. I swear I heard it breathe. My hand shook. I brought it to the door. The old man didn't reach for it, just opened the glass and waited. That's when curiosity did that thing it does. Whispered, "Just a peek." My thumb twitched toward the tape. "Don't do it." I looked up. The old man's lips didn't move, but his voice boomed in my head. "Don't look, son." I snapped out of it and shoved the box into his arms like it was a hot grenade. He nodded once, tucked it under one arm, and walked back to his truck. As he opened the door, I noticed something. The rear bed of the truck. It was full of boxes, just like mine. Dozens of them. Some squirmed. One screamed. He drove off without a word. I locked the doors, turned off the lights, and sat on the floor behind the counter for a good 10 minutes, hugging a bag of Funyuns like it was a therapy dog. When I finally peeled myself off the floor, I noticed something new on the counter. A $2 bill stained with oil, and underneath it, scratched into the laminate, was something sharp. "Thanks for not looking." I didn't sleep that morning. I didn't even close up. I just sat on the roof with a cup of stale coffee, watching the desert get brighter, thinking about how this job was less minimum wage clerk and more cosmic errand boy with a snack bar. And honestly, I didn't hate it. I was still alive, still curious, still dumb, which is why I didn't notice the neon "open" sign had been left on. And it was a full moon. Now, in my defense, I didn't mean to leave the "open" sign on during a full moon, but when you're dodging vending machines that speak Morse code, handing boxes of possibly cursed meat to haunted grandpas, and hiding in walk-in freezers from the radio's existential tantrums, you tend to overlook small things, like glowing signs and lunar cycles. By the time I noticed the soft electric buzz of the neon "open" behind me, it was already 3:01 a.m. I turned around slowly. The red glow reflected on the glass like blood and water. "Nope," I whispered to no one. "Absolutely not. I know what this is. This is a setup." I reached under the counter for the duct tape. Plan A, slap an out-of-order sign on the window and pretend I was closed due to supernatural plumbing. But I never made it that far. The front door creaked, not opened, creaked like it was breathing. I ducked low, peeking through the candy rack. That's when I saw them, figures, maybe a dozen of them, gliding across the asphalt in absolute silence. No footsteps, no wind, just movement. They were faceless, not masked or blurred, like their heads had never been assigned features. Their skin was waxy, pale under the flickering lights, and they hovered about 3 inches off the ground. And then they started to hum, not cliché horror movie humming. This was mechanical, like an old computer booting up through a dying speaker. It buzzed and chirped in pulses that scratched at the air. "Okay," I muttered, inching toward the hallway. Could have been a dentist, could have been a librarian. But no, I wanted to work at the gas station, from Dante's deleted scenes. Rule 4. Keep the neon "open" sign off during full moons. The sign was on. It was a full moon, and these faceless floaters were now inside. Time for Rule 5. When the static hits the radio, hide in the freezer and don't breathe. Except this time, the radio stayed silent. Instead, a new sound joined the choir of hums, a slow clicking like a turntable spinning with no record. I looked up. From the ceiling dropped something tall, thin, and absolutely wrong. Its head was a spinning record player, stylus arm twitching like a feeler. Where its mouth should have been was just a gaping speaker cone pulsing with static bursts. It twitched toward me, clicked, then it played something. It wasn't music, it was me screaming from the freezer 2 nights ago. The exact breathless panic. It had recorded me. Okay, nope, new rule, run. I bolted into the back hallway as the speaker head stuttered behind me, mimicking my last laugh from earlier that shift. My own laugh, echoing down the walls like a taunt. The hallway stretched, literally. The end kept getting further away with every step. Still, I ran, dodged the soda mop bucket, kicked open the freezer, and slammed myself inside. Cold again. Familiar. I held my breath. Outside, something brushed the door. Then, knock, knock. 3 soft knocks, then a whisper. Can I come in? I have your voice. I pressed my back to the steel and bit my knuckles until the pressure faded. Eventually, the humming stopped, the door creaked, and when I peeked out, the floor tiles were scorched like something had been dragged, or melted, across them. The open sign had shattered, glowing fragments embedded in the countertop. I swept up the glass, called it ghost glitter, and spent the next hour duct taping a new note to the register. Rule 6, never work full moons, even if it's your shift, especially if it's your shift. There's a special kind of trauma that comes from finding teeth in your snacks. I discovered that one about an hour after the full moon incident, just as I was trying to regain a shred of normalcy with a bag of Doritos and a root beer. The bag crinkled wrong when I opened it. Inside, nestled between a triangular chip and what might have once been cheese dust, was a single human molar. Slightly yellowed, still had a bit of gum stuck to the root. I dropped it on the counter so fast I spilled the soda. The vending machine blinked twice. Now, I'm not a superstitious guy. I don't forward chain emails. I've walked under ladders. Heck, I once opened an umbrella inside just to see if it would ruin my day. It didn't, though I did knock over a lamp. But this machine, it was watching me, and I mean that literally. Its display flickered symbols I didn't recognize, and every now and then it made a low mechanical wheeze, like it was dreaming. Then came the banging, soft at first, dull, like someone knocking on wood from inside the machine. I backed up slowly. The banging got louder, faster. Finally a hand shot out. I screamed. I screamed the way a normal person would if a Coke machine tried to shake their hand. The arm stuck out up to the elbow, flailing wildly. Human, dirty, covered in vending machine grime and panic sweat. The hand scratched at the plastic, grasped at air, tried to pull itself out. I froze. What do you even do in that situation? Call customer service? Perform an exorcism? Offer it a Fanta? Then I remembered Lenny's warning. If the vending machine ever asks for help, just don't. So I stood there. The arm writhed for a minute longer. Then it snapped backward like it had been yanked hard. Something on the other side pulled it in. The door slammed shut. The display blinked. Thank you. Yeah, sure, anytime. I sat down behind the counter and didn't move for 10 full minutes, just stared at the snack wall and questioned every decision that had led me here. That's when I noticed the security monitor. The gas station's ancient black and white camera system had a split-screen feed. One showed the pumps, one showed the aisle near the drinks, one showed me. Behind the counter, slumped over, not breathing, but I was here, awake, breathing, watching the screen. The version of me on the monitor slowly raised its head and smiled. And then, I swear on all that's holy, it winked. I power-cycled the feed and refused to look again. Instead, I grabbed a marker and added a new rule to the binder, right under Rule 5. Rule 6, unofficial. Don't eat anything from the vending machine. If it eats first, run. That night, Lenny finally showed up around dawn, covered in what looked like salt, feathers, and a healthy dose of regret. Did you touch the vending machine? He asked. Define touch. He sighed, dropped a greasy paper bag on the counter, and said, Don't look inside, just bury it out back. Oh, and if it screams, hum Take Me Home Country Roads until it stops. I didn't ask questions. As the sun rose and the desert lit up like a cracked eggshell, I leaned on the front counter and whispered to the empty air. This job has benefits, right? Dental, exorcism coverage? Nothing answered, but I swear the vending machine burped. The guy looked normal at first. That should have been my first red flag. Nobody normal ever stops here, especially not during graveyard hours, especially not in a freshly waxed Buick with an I Love Lake Tahoe bumper sticker. I watched through the security feed as he pulled in, parked neat between the faded lines, and calmly stepped out like he was arriving at a dentist appointment, not the mouth of the abyss disguised as a gas station. He wore a beige suit, crisp, tailored. He even had a pocket square. Who wears pocket squares to the Nevada desert at 4 a.m.? The second red flag came when he walked in and said, "You're doing a fine job, all things considered." I hadn't said anything. The door hadn't dinged. He was just suddenly inside. "You here for gas?" I asked, trying to sound casual. My hand inched toward the rule binder, hoping to flip to a new section titled Rule 6, What to Do When Your Customer is Probably the Devil. He smiled. "No gas for me, thanks. I used to run this place, actually, long before you." I blinked. "You're the manager before Lenny?" He chuckled. No, before Lenny, before the register talked, before the freezer became sacred ground, before the desert started whispering to the pumps at night. He stepped closer, before it chose you. I was about to make a joke, something about filing a complaint with upper management, when I noticed his reflection in the freezer door behind him. Only there wasn't one. No reflection, no shadow, just me standing behind the counter, and a blank patch of tile where he stood. Every hair on my arm stood up like soldiers hearing a war drum. "You know my name," I said, "but I never told you." He smiled wider, too wide. His teeth were perfectly straight, too perfect. No man with perfect teeth works night shifts for a minimum wage. "You don't remember yet," he said, tilting his head. "That's all right, you will." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small metal name tag. Old and rusted, but I could still make out the engraving. Clerk, T. Hayes. I stared at it. Something in my gut dropped like an elevator with a snapped cable. That was my name. He tossed it on the counter. "I've had it long enough." Before I could speak, he stepped back and started melting. Not like a movie witch, but like salt dropped in boiling water. He sizzled into a wet pile of eyeballs and grains of white crystal, twitching, blinking, then evaporating into a cold mist that smelled like burnt pennies and campfire smoke. I stood frozen, mouth open, wondering if that counted as clocking out. Then I noticed the security monitor blinking again. New camera feed. The break room. On the wall behind the microwave, someone had pinned missing posters. Dozens of them, all with the same face. Mine. Different years, different photos, same expression. Under each one, "Last seen at Desert Gas, 2:57 a.m. I went to the break room. Nothing on the wall. When I came back to the counter, the name tag was gone. Just a small, greasy stain where it had landed. I sat down slowly, rubbed my face, and muttered, "This place has more plot twists than a soap opera inside a blender." Then the vending machine beeped once and spit out another tooth. Here's the thing they don't tell you about working at a haunted gas station in the desert. Eventually you start asking the wrong questions, like, what if I just ignore the rules? What if the freezer isn't protection, it's a cage? What if the real curse is minimum wage? I was spiraling. I'd seen my own missing poster, a man without a shadow melt into a puddle of eyeballs. I'd played charades with a vending machine that had better acting skills than me, so when the biker showed up, I was already halfway out the mental door. He rolled in on a growling black Harley that sounded like it ran on diesel and nightmares. His jacket was stitched with patches that didn't belong to any club, just symbols, eyes, spirals, bleeding moons, and no shadow, of course. He walked in, helmet under one arm, and smiled. His teeth were cracked and gold. "You look like a guy ready to quit." I nodded, dazed. "Do I get dental if I do?" He laughed. It was a low, scratchy sound, like someone dragging chains over gravel. "I can offer you a way out," he said, but there's a price. He dropped a single quarter on the counter, the exact kind we used for the gas pump, tokens, not money. Each one's had the year scratched off. The biker leaned in close. Just give me 10 gallons. Rule 1. Never sell gas to anyone who doesn't cast a shadow. I knew it. I knew it better than my own name at this point, and I did it anyway. I took the token, punched in the number. The pump clicked, hissed, and began to run. The biker walked back to his Harley and started filling up. The sky cracked, that's the only word for it, like God took a chisel to the atmosphere. Lines of pale white light spider-webbed above me. The stars blinked, then flickered like dying light bulbs. Inside the store, the floorboards groaned. The air shifted, like the whole building had sucked in a breath. And then the loop began. I watched as the same moment replayed. The biker pulled in again. This time the gas pump hissed backward, unpumping fuel into his bike. I watched myself rewind, hand outstretched, token pulled back across the counter. Then again, and again. The gas station had turned into some kind of VHS tape stuck on a scratched scene. Each loop changed something. One version of me had no eyes. Another was smiling too wide, like someone had stapled a grin onto a corpse. One just stared at the camera and whispered, "Not again." I backed away from the register, breathing hard. The vending machine laughed. The radio clicked back on, a voice whispering backwards in my own voice. The freezer door opened by itself, and outside the desert shifted. The road stretched off in 4 directions at once. The sign out front spun in circles, each turn revealing a new name for the station. Eternal Fuel, Last Stop, Hayes and Sons, and finally, You Can't Leave. I ran outside, past the flickering pumps, and stopped cold. Another car was pulling in, same make, same model. My car, and behind the wheel, me, tired, hungry, fresh-faced, and stupid, pulling up to my first shift. I watched him, me, step out of the car, stretch, and look up at the station. He had no idea. I dropped to my knees in the dust, laughing, broken, wheezing laughter. I had joined the loop. I wasn't an employee. I was inventory. They say hell is repetition. Whoever they are, they probably worked night shift at this gas station before I did, because I watched myself step out of my own car like it was my first night all over again, and I swear I felt time fold around me like a cheap motel blanket. Other me, looked hopeful, clueless. Just a guy with nowhere else to go and no idea what he was walking into. He squinted up at the sign, just like I had, checked his phone, looked at the dark sky, and muttered, "Could be worse." It could, buddy, but not by much. He didn't see me. I don't think he could. I was part of the background now, like a smudge on the lens of reality. Inside, the register dinged, welcoming him with a fake cheeriness it had never shown me. The vending machine gave a polite little beep. The rule book was back on the counter, crisp and clean like it had never been opened. And from the freezer, a puff of cold mist drifted out like it was exhaling. I stepped backward into the shadows near the pump, staring at this reset version of my life playing out in front of me, like I'd been downgraded from protagonist to paranormal attraction. I knew what came next. He'd read the rules. He'd follow them. He'd survive, barely. He might last a week, maybe a month. But eventually curiosity would win. It always did. I wandered around back, through the sand and broken glass, past the grease pit Lenny swore was bottomless. There, half buried in the dirt, was a pile of name tags, some rusted, some bent, all with titles like clerk and attendant. And all of them had the same last name, Hayes. It wasn't just me in the loop. It was only me. Over and over, the station didn't hire people. It recruited replacements. I was the welcome mat for my own doom. That morning, as the sun crept over the ridge like a guilty secret, I climbed the roof and sat on the edge with my legs dangling off the side. The desert looked peaceful from up there, like it hadn't just swallowed my soul and pressed reset. I watched new me inside, trying to fix the coffee machine. Good luck. That thing spits tar and occasionally tries to sing Long Story. And I started laughing again, that slow, weary kind of laugh you get when you finally understand the joke and realize the joke is you. So here's where it ends, or restarts, or resumes, I guess. I leave this story for anyone who might find it tucked in the glove box of their rental, or scratched into the stall wall of the last bathroom before the desert swallows the road. If you pass a gas station that buzzes too loud, has no posted hours, and glows like a migraine, keep driving. Don't stop, don't look back, don't ask about the sign, and if you see a guy standing at the edge of the lot waving you off, listen to him. He might be me. He might be you next.